Work. How can I redeem? What do you do on your ride to work? Answer that question, because there's a very important little moment in there, or thought. What do I do on my ride to work? I turn on the radio and drink in the world's music. We think about football, men do. I don't know what ladies' big thing is they think about all day. Probably us. Food, okay. We think about sports, we think about the news. What will I do with my ride to work? Do you know if you have a 20-minute ride to work, you can pray and call out the name of every single person in this church for God to touch their life that day? Does that fit into the will of God? Yeah. You can do other things. I'm not saying that's the thing. You may turn on Christian music. It's good. Or you might just turn off all music and say, I'm going to ride and I'm going to listen. Sometimes when God gives me something, I can't get anywhere to write it down. I'll send it to myself in a text or something. Like I'm going to send it to Tammy, and I'll just save it because it was a thought that came to me. That's what we do. What do we do with our ride to work? The Father's not pleased with a man who won't work. You know, we say, well, I don't like people. I don't like men that's able to work and won't work. I like the man. I don't appreciate the laziness in that, because you're getting robbed of a lot of things that God is part of the will of God, and that's to provide for yourself and make money and pay your bills and do that kind of stuff. So Father's not pleased with a man who won't work, nor is he pleased with the lazy man or spiritual lazy man. The Father's concerned about our attitude about working. Now, look at this scripture coming up. Work willingly. And when I say not work, I'm not talking about you guys that's retired or that's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. The only problem with the retired guy is you don't have 8 hours of life accountability. You actually got 16 hours now. So you're twice as accountable to God. Work willingly at whatever you do as though you were working for the Lord rather than for people. Is that a godly thing?